Hey. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to On the Mend with me, your host, Matt Willis. On this podcast, we usually look back on life's toughest moments to figure out how to move forward. But today, our guest is someone who's done the work, someone who's lived many lives, right? He's an actor, a father, a poet, an author, and still has a fire burning. Who's up next week? Follow us to find out. Watch wherever you get your podcasts. You'll know him from Gavin and Stacey, EastEnders, and I'm a Celeb. But there's so much more to Larry Lamb than the roles he's played. Today, we're not here to dig into old wounds. We're here to talk about resilience, aging, creativity, and how to grow older without giving up. This is a conversation about looking forward with one of Britain's most loved and thoughtful voices. Let's get into it. Larry, welcome to On the Mend.
Thank you.
It's
what a
lovely.
build-up.
Here we go. Do you know, normally they're much shorter, these intros. We thought, we're going to write something good for you today.
There you go. You say that to everyone, I'm sure.
we definitely don't. Yeah, man. So how are you doing, mate? You're all right?
Good. Yeah.
Yeah?
Really
You seem good, man.
Really good. Moving forward. That's it. Only thing to do. Pushing 80. Just keep pushing forward.
You're pushing 80?
Yeah.
How old are you now, Larry?
78 in
You're 78 years old?
78 in 2 months' time, yeah. So
Mate.
78, yeah.
Wow, man. Wow.
Yeah.
What's that feel like? Does it feel real?
It's just like you're the same person. You
Yeah,
just
yeah.
know you're older, you're aching more.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting out of bed is a struggle. It's just, you're still the same person. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You know, you're a little bit wiser, hopefully. You've seen a lot more. You've got opinions on things that perhaps you hadn't bothered to think about before. But really, you're just the same person. And you've just grown older. My spirit's still the same as it always was.
Yeah.
I'm just looking to sort of stay around for as long as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. I mean, we were talking just before you came on about poetry, and you did some of the 80s, right?
Yeah.
And you started picking it back up.
Yeah.
Right. So if you could sum your life up, it's one little line of poetry.
One little line of poetry.
Anything. Give me something poetic.
About one little line of poetry.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you just got to keep moving forward, thinking positive, and enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
And don't worry about it. I've written a lot about, looking as an older person, looking towards the end. I wrote a poem called "Is This the Way Out?" And it's all about the fact that, suddenly there's a little sign flickering away out there in the distance. It was never there before.
Yeah.
And it says "way out." And you have to recognize you are not here forever.
Yeah.
You've used up a lot of your supply of days.
Yeah.
And they're not getting shorter. The days are getting longer and longer and longer.
Mm.
And you've got to enjoy them.
Yeah.
You've got to enjoy them. I mean, it flies by. That's the weird thing.
Yeah.
Time, the days seem wonderfully long, but time overall flies by. It's really very weird.
That's so weird, isn't it?
I know. It's wonderful. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I enjoy it more and more every day.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's so refreshing to hear, man. Because, do you remember was there a specific point when you kind of felt to yourself, oh, I'm not 30 anymore? Do you know what I mean?
I can remember hitting 70 and my boy George saying to me, "Look, you're an old man now, all right, and you've got to start enjoying it." Well, yeah, but it's the truth.
Yeah,
that's the truth. You can't deny it. When you hit 70. Right, you're getting on there.
Yeah,
and you're given this, this lease of life, and to me, you've got to try and enjoy it.
Yeah,
and not sit around grumpy and humpy and mumpy.
Yeah, an interesting thing with this for me, with you, is that you don't seem like, when I think of a 78-year-old bloke, I don't think of you. Do you know what I mean? It's just something about you. There's this lease of life. There's this youthness about you. Do you know what I mean? What do you think that is?
Well, I just figure you don't change just because you're getting older. Don't start acting an old man.
Yeah.
You are what you are.
Yeah. I mean, in this podcast, we do something called gratitude list, right? So something I've done for years, and because I can wake up on the wrong side of the bed and wake up and be really negative, right? And I learned that about myself. And once I start that, my whole day can be that.
Yeah.
So I learned to start my day with 3 things I'm grateful for,
yeah,
and it would change the trajectory of my day.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you for 3 things that you're grateful for today.
Good health, my kids, and still able to make a living and be active.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Even though, my legs and my back are all that a bit crocky, but, I'm still active.
Yeah.
I ride my bike, I swim every day, I do everything I can to keep myself as fit as I possibly can. So, yeah, I'm grateful for good health, and I'm grateful for my kids, and I'm grateful for a wonderful life.
Yeah. And you've had a really great career, mate, as well. What do you think has kind of kept you going through that career?
The need to make a living.
Right. Yeah.
That's it. That's simple as that. I a lot of people in my profession, they live to act.
Yeah.
I act to live.
Right.
That's it.
Right. Great.
It's a job.
Yeah.
It's a job.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, it's a tough job, though, isn't it? It's a competitive job.
At times, it's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
An absolute nightmare. But it's like everything else. There's good and bad in everything. Some days are good, some days are bad. Sometimes you're working with people you really like. Sometimes you're not. And so I've been very fortunate. Just if I'd have figured back when I dived into being a professional actor that statistically there's only about 5% of them actually earn a living at it.
Yeah.
Everybody else is doing whatever they can just to survive.
Yeah.
And I've made a living for 50 years as an actor. That's quite an achievement, but I didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah.
I always worked hard, whatever I was doing, long before I became an actor. I was just a working boy. I started working when I was a kid in my dad's fish and chip shop. I've always had a job, but certainly not enough at times. You think, oh, this is something. As you get older, the energy you need to sustain playing a part in something, particularly if it's going on a bit, you begin to get drained very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And that's what you've got to overcome. You've got to sort of go against that and push your way through.
Yeah. I suppose that's the same. That's
same with anything.
Same with anything. That's the way because you treat it like a job. It's the same as any job.
Yeah.
You just got to.
And I'm lucky enough I can still earn a living, pushing 80.
Yeah. Why do you think, what do you think it is about you that made you be able to earn a living in it and others not?
Luck. Primarily.
Yeah.
Luck.
Yeah.
There's so much talent around, but if you've got the talent and you don't have the luck, that's the magic ingredient.
Yeah.
Because if you're not in the right place at the right time, the chances are things can fade very quickly.
Yeah.
I was, the way I got into it, just being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And then being, taking a path which led to meeting other people, which led to other jobs, which led to meeting more people and other jobs.
Right.
So that's what it is. Luck. You can't deny that.
Absolutely. Let's dive into some of those roles, right? Because in 2010, you won the award for Best Villain, right? So, how do you mentally prepare to play a role like Archie Mitchell, which is a character which people genuinely despise? How do you go into that? How many times did you wake up last night? Be honest. For me, broken sleep used to be normal, right? I'd crash out, then suddenly be wide awake at 2 a.m. Mornings were the absolute worst. Then I started taking Vitals by Heights, just 2 capsules a day. That's it. No more messing around with a cupboard full of supplements. This stuff is scientifically proven to improve your sleep, as it's got over 20 essential nutrients, including omega-3s and vitamin D3. This is all backed by real science, right? It's over 1,400 studies on this supplement alone. It has been massive in improving my sleep, which has improved my recovery. So sometimes I'll be playing a show at nighttime, have to fall asleep because the next day I've got a packed day full of different things. And I really struggled before Heights. And now, sleep through, everything's good. So if you're done with tossing and turning, head to heights.com/OTM and use the code OTM20 for 20% off your first subscription. Start sleeping better tonight.
You just hope you've got a good script. That's really what it's all about. If the script is no good, you're not going to be doing anything with it. You can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. That's
right.
It. You can't.
Yeah.
And, I was very lucky. It was really well written. The character was really well researched. It was a bit of the people in my family. It was a bit of the people in the writer's family. So it was just join up the dots, really.
Yeah.
This character is not the nicest of people. He's a troubled man. Well, it was no big deal. I didn't sit around, gnashing my teeth and pulling my hair out.
Right.
I just
Yeah.
got the script and
got
learned
the
it.
script, knew what to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel it feels like it takes a certain kind of mindset, in these kind of jobs. Like, have you ever worked with any actors you think have that great mindset when it comes to being on a set? Do you mean like there's a certain way of kind of like you seem to have it in a way where this is a job, I do it, right? And that's what kind of seems to work for you. And you said there's other actors who kind of live to work.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about that mindset? Do you think that's a healthy mindset to have?
Well, it works for them.
Yeah.
It's it's like, I remember years ago playing a taxi driver, and as I drove around, I began to realize that there was no set personality in the taxi driver. All the taxi drivers that I would speak to, they're all different people.
Yeah.
And actors, they represent all different sorts of people,
Yeah.
And what one person does, one man's meat is another man's poison. I do it the way I do it, and they do it the way they do it, and it works for them.
Yeah. Is there anybody that you've not worked with that you'd love to?
I always really thought I'd love to work with Robert De Niro. I've always really admired him. He's certainly one person that I would have loved to have worked with,
Yeah.
But I think the likelihood of that is pretty slim now. But
You never know. You've had a pretty eventful life, mate. You never know. Have you ever received any kind of amazing advice as an actor that's held you steady?
I was fortunate enough to work for a director called Stephen Pimlott back in at the beginning of this century. Really, it was like 2001, 2002, and he was somebody who really loves actors or loved actors. Unfortunately, terrible thing. He passed on really early, but he was a great director. He understood me, and he understood various things that I found troubling, like, confronting an audience completely eye to eye with an audience. And he pushed me through it.
Yeah.
So, I was really well directed and very lucky to work for him.
Yeah. Was that so that was on stage?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What was it about facing the audience that freaked you out?
Well, it's very easy when you're on stage and you've got footlights and you've got overhead lights to kind of manage to get the audience out of your sight line.
Yeah.
You've been on stage singing, whatever.
Yeah.
You don't have to engage with them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what you need to do is they need to know you are engaging with them.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. And I was glazing over, and he recognized that. And he just pushed me right over the edge and said, no, you are going to do this. You are going to engage with the audience. And I am going to put the house lights on, so every single one of them is lit up. And if I see you glazing over and trying to blank them out, I'm gonna start heckling you.
Right. Wow.
And that's all it took.
Yeah. How did he help you through that?
Basically, what happened was I went up and dried completely on stage when I was giving the first performance.
Yeah.
And he recognized what was going wrong, and he knew that he had to change. He set scenes so that all the people, all the apparatchiks that were working in the palace, in the castle, all my people were all facing me,
right,
with the audience behind them.
Right,
and
so
he knew
no choice but to engage.
And there was too much of a break between me and the audience. So what he did was he turned them all around, and I walked through them and addressed the audience.
Right. As if they were the people you were.
Yeah.
Wow.
The way I
right,
was
nice.
supposed to do it.
Nice. And you, what was the thing it was? Like, it was, do you think it gave you more power? You felt like a bit more.
It just made me face
Yeah.
the fear
Yeah.
of the fear that I'd always had of, you'll find the wrong face. It's very,
Yeah.
it's
I know the exact
interesting
feeling.
looking at an audience.
Yeah.
Because some of them are really enjoying it and they sit there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And you're looking at them and you think, oh my God, it's very off-putting.
I know that so well. Yeah.
Right.
I was in a play called 222, and it's like a ghost story. And like there was just if I caught the wrong person in the audience and like, or they yawned, and I'd catch them. I just like, of all the times I could look in the crowd, I'd catch the guy yawning.
And so what I would do is I would work it so that I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that loses the power.
Yeah.
The audience taking what you've got to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Personally, you're speaking to them all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
And he realized that's what I needed to do.
Yeah. When I think about my band, right, there was something that happened to me when I turned 40. I didn't really realize it, but like I'd always felt like I was a kid, and I always felt like one of the young, because when we started, I was like 17 or something. So I always felt like the youngest in the room.
Right.
And something changed. Like I instantly started to go to places and there was kids, who were 17, 18 playing shows with us. And like, I suddenly felt like I was being, I don't know, I had something to pass on in some way. Do you know what I mean? Like I suddenly felt like people looked at me in a different way because I turned 40 and I was like an older person to them. Like, did you ever notice anything like that happen to you?
Well, you certainly realize when you're working into your 70s that you're the oldest person around. That's for sure. Because, the average age of the crew is probably, I'd say, 30.
Right, yeah.
And so all of a sudden you're the old boy, which is enjoyable, when you've been the young ones, when you've been the ones sitting around, and listening to old actors talk, and suddenly you're an old actor. You've been around for 50 years. They haven't even been alive for 50 years. So, you just appreciate for what it is.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Do people come to you for advice?
Not if they've got any sense. But, the people would like to discuss things. I mean, they're not necessarily looking to be taught, but they definitely want to get opinions,
Yeah.
They want to understand what you feel about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
When you think about being a father, right, it's something. I've got 3 kids. My oldest is 16, my youngest is 9. And like, I sometimes hear myself saying things to them and I think, where's that come from? Do you know what I mean? It's come from my upbringing.
Yeah.
And I'm passing these things down to them, and I feel like I don't even believe that, sometimes. And I do it at work sometimes as well, but especially with my kids, I notice it. I have to really stop myself. Have you ever noticed anything like that?
Oh, yeah. You're programmed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You're programmed. And unless you're very fortunate and particularly if you're a fella, and you've not been fathered well, as was the case with me, because he'd not been fathered well, and I don't suppose his father before him had been fathered well. So there was this always this element of imposing his will on you. He was, whatever he said, that was right. And he was a really intelligent man, but he was badly screwed up in the Second World War. He like they all thought they were going to be heroes, and he realized very quickly he was no hero, and suffered greatly going through it. And so I had a lot of bullying, I guess you would call it, when I was a kid. He was always on me. But then, I say always on me, but he was a very changeable guy, very, very bright. But some of the things, the way he was always like, you don't know how lucky you are to have a father like me. All this Victorian nonsense, And so gradually you begin to realize, you begin to understand that this isn't the way it should be.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate because I was just about to start. And I think it's particularly that way between fathers and sons, particularly if you've been, as it were, lent on by your father psychologically. And I was just beginning to start acting that way with my boy when he was about 3 or so. And his mother just stopped me dead. And she just said, look, if you want to finish up with the same relationship with that boy as your father has with you, you're going the right way about doing it.
Yeah.
And that was it. And a big bell rang and I stopped it there and then.
Right.
Because it's phony. It's wrong. It's like you're assuming something that's not really there. You're there to guide, encourage, love, improve, provide, all those things. That's what you're there for. You're not there to impose your will on some little kid. I mean, it's very easy, telling some little kid, some little boy who absolutely instinctively adores this character of his dad, the most important person, male person in the world. It's very easy to bully him.
Yeah. I mean, but if you haven't known anything else, that for me, I think I never really had any kind of like guidance. I didn't have a very good, home relationship. So then I've suddenly got to make this for myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, which role, there's no book I could have read that could have gone, oh, you're going to have to deal with this. How'd you do that?
No.
What changed for you? What kind of guided you through that period?
Well, I mean, common sense, I think, really. I think that main point was his mother making me realize that if I carried on doing what I was doing, it was all going to go as wrong as it had gone between me and my father.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
was
a
enough.
very dawning moment.
That was enough.
Yeah.
I knew what not to do. That's really, I guess, the key to it.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what not to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Sometimes that's all you have to know.
Yeah.
You don't have to know exactly what to do. You have to know what not to do. I mean, how do you think your role as a father has changed throughout the years?
My boy, he's 45, and then I've got 2 young daughters who are 22 and 26. And you are a different father at different ages. When I was George's dad, I was very busy young actor, sort of in my prime, like getting into my 30s, and I was far more interested in my career.
Yeah.
And then once it got round to having my daughters again in my 50s, I was different, a different person, older, more mature. Dealing with having 2 daughters was a totally new experience.
Yeah.
And you learn from just being and doing. I think that's it for me. Anyway, that's the way you realize that you can't just try and impose your will on people just because you don't want them. If you want, you've got, kids who are learning how to be individuals. So you've got to help them, you've got to provide them with some sort of a bright and interesting and interested example in being an adult that's involved in the organizing of these children's lives.
Yeah.
So if you're, the more you are involved, the better.
Yeah. That's ringing true for me right now, because I read something the other day that by the time your kids are 18, you spend 85% of your time with them, which scares the shit out of me, because I'm like, my daughter's 16 now. So I'm like, how am I going to, I can't bear the thought of having spent like 80% of my time with them.
Why?
Because I want them all the time.
It's funny you say that.
Yeah.
Because just the other day, I was thinking along these lines about this extraordinary moment when you say goodbye to your kids.
Yeah.
And they're going off to start their own lives. And you've got that to come.
Yeah, yeah.
That is.
Do you remember that moment? Yeah.
You will never forget it.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read you that little poem?
I'd love you to. That'd be amazing.
I haven't figured out yet what I'm going to call this. It's like waving your life goodbye, a major part of it anyway. They come into it and take it over. Can you hold back the tears? Not easy, but you have to. Not make them feel guilty for doing what you've spent your entire life preparing them for. to walk out that door for the last time, to start the cycle again. But oh, the pain. Then the dam breaks, and the tears keep on coming. Whenever you're reminded of that moment they left for the last time, as vivid as holding them for the first time. Empty nest? Are you kidding? As many schemes and dreams and memories in here as Highgate Cemetery. You won't forget that once you go through that, and let me tell you.
I bet you don't, mate. I bet you don't. You know what I mean? So, oh God, I keep thinking about that moment. It's going to be terrifying. You know, so at one point, right, George stepped into the limelight.
Yeah.
Right? He kind of went into media. I mean, obviously my wife worked with him. He's a fantastic bloke and a really amazing presenter. You know, women were crazy about him. Every woman I know was besotted with him.
Yeah.
You know, so he kind of walks into that world. You know, having done it yourself, you know, what kind of advice would you have given him?
I didn't really give him any advice.
Yeah.
He's his own man. He always has been since he was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, he was making his own way. He would listen and ask for advice, but really, he got into the music business, which is what he always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then sort of branched out and went more into, you know, finishing up being a presenter and doing interviewing and all the rest of it. But, you know, he's like me, you know, he's just a showman, really. That's it. You know, he can now more and more, he can deal with speaking to an audience, with speaking to people. Yeah. And he always had that facility. He's an interesting character. He's a lot more of these. We're very much alike. People think of us, it's obvious to see, you know, he's got a lot of his mother in him. He's got the strength of his mother.
Right.
Extraordinary. Extraordinary.
What's your relationship like with him now?
With him? Yeah. As good as it's ever been.
Yeah.
And getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's at an age now, you know, in his mid-40s, that gap between us has narrowed.
Right.
You know? He knows, and I always remind him, you got all this to come. Mr. Smarty Pants, right? You know, you're going to be here one day, and I'm going to live as long as I can, because I cannot wait to wind you up when you're in your late 60s. Yeah. I cannot wait for it.
Can't wait. I love that. You know, are your daughters in the industry?
Yeah. One works in hospitality, and the other one's a singer. Right. So they're both, good. I'm really lucky.
Yeah, man, absolutely. You know, if you could, like, we've got a lot. I think I get told these kind of figures about the people that listen to this. I forget what they are, but we got lots of people around the age of kind of 30 to 40. I think from 25 to 40. Is that right? That's kind of our core audience. You know, if you could give a person in their 30s and 40s one perspective from your 70s, what would it be?
Be nice to as many people as you can.
That's a great fucking piece of advice. Yeah. That's great.
That's it, mate.
Have you learned that the hard way?
Oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Have I?
Yeah.
Like most things, I've learned them the hard way.
Yeah.
Just be nice to people.
Yeah, man.
Be honest.
Yeah. There's something about being honest, which is which everywhere I look, that just keeps coming back to that question. You know, it keeps going back to that statement. Just be honest.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, it will end up biting you in the arse. And I've had that so many times.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Your book is all about on-set relationships and how to work with others, right? And how they work together.
Yep.
Right. Is it inspired by being nice?
No, it's not inspired by being nice at all, because it's exposing all the different elements that are involved in a crew of people making a film.
Right.
What they're up against as a team, and elements that come into the team that are not playing the same game in the same way.
Right.
So it's all about like the human experience of a gang of people doing something together.
Yeah.
It's certainly not all about nice, but the central character is a very strong guy, and you could say, he's a nice guy, but he's a nice guy when he's got to be. And he's certainly not a nice guy when things are, you know, going in a way that needs sorting out, you know. He's a pretty strong character.
Yeah.
But it's not all about being nice. No,
Yeah.
it's all about people working together, looking after each other, and having a common goal.
Mm. And this is on a film set, right? Is this from personal experience, or is this? Because this is non-fiction, right? And you've wrote your autobiography in the past. Yeah,
it's a novel.
Did you always want to write a novel?
Well, I wrote an autobiography in 2010, and the publishers were very, very interested in me having a go at writing a novel back then, because I wrote the autobiography myself.
Yeah,
and they found out pretty quickly when I turned in my attempt to write a novel that they were wrong, and that I couldn't, in 2010, I couldn't write a novel. That was it.
Right.
So I lived another, 12, 13, 14, 15 years, and then and then this novel came out of me. But it was a story that I'd carried around for years, because I began to realize about, the way a crew of people works. It's a big mix-up of men and women. You've got, technical abilities and responsibilities, that keep everybody on their toes. It's a big, high-pressure environment.
Yeah.
And I realized there was a story in there that I'd always thought of as a film, and then somebody dared me to write about it, and I thought, right, I could write this as a novel, and that's how it came out.
Yeah.
So it's a story I carried around for years, because I always thought I could play, which in my own, back in the days, I could have played the central character.
Yeah.
Then, but by the time I wrote it, I was far too old to be able to be that person on a film set. The first assistant director. You're not going to be a 71-year-old first assistant director. Yeah. It's not going to happen. You wouldn't have the energy, the mental energy, and the physical energy that, you're there before everybody and you're there after everybody's gone.
Yeah.
It's a massive, massive job.
Mm.
And you need to be, fit mentally and physically to be able to do it.
Yeah.
For day after day after day after day, carrying the weight of the whole production on your head.
So this isn't a real story. This is something that they've created.
It's sort of the beginnings of it. It all takes place on a Caribbean island. When I went on a Caribbean island job years and years ago, and there were things going on that we didn't really know about. There were things going on in the background within the government of that country,
right,
that we didn't know about, which in the end was going to cause problems getting us out of the country. So they couldn't just drive us across country to the airport. They had to get little planes in and just fly us all out and put us into the airport so we could get on an international carrier and get out. But so what I've done is I've used that thing going on as the background to this novel. So when they arrive, everything appears to be fine. But gradually, there's something going on that's going to affect them and the making of this film.
Yeah. Wow. Fucking sounds awesome.
Did you
like writing it?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it.
Well, I mean, I meet people that write books, and it just seems so hard, because it's every day
I think the thing is, look, it's discipline. You've got to be disciplined, because if you're not, it will just never happen.
Mm.
I was really lucky. When I started the autobiography, an old friend of mine who's a novelist, and he was a journalist, so he's been writing for a living all his working life. He said to me, look, you just have to understand that if you are writing a book, you wake up in the morning, you're not getting up in the morning to write a book. You're getting up in the morning to do what journalists do. Write 1,000 words.
Right.
1,000 words will take you about half a day, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're doing that day.
Right.
You do that every day, and you'll get to a point one day where you will write the end.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But unless you are disciplined, when I write like that, I write every day. Every morning I write.
Yeah.
And, and 300,000 words later,
there
you are. Not 300, about 80. Well, I felt like I'd written about 300. About 300 pages later, that's it. You've done it.
Wow.
But then the difficult bit begins, because then you've got to tear it all to pieces and put it all back together again. Because the editing is just, the editing isn't as much fun.
I bet.
It can be now and again when you hit on something, you think, oh, wow, I didn't think of that before. So then, it revitalizes your feelings about it. But other than that, it can get to feel like having, handed your homework in, it's all come flying back with you full of red lines, see me and do this again,
Yeah.
That's the problem. But
And
I loved it. I love writing the book.
Yeah. Two things spring to mind. I read this book called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, and he talks about this thing called resistance, right, which is the thing that stops you from doing the thing.
Yeah.
That little voice in your head that stops you from whatever the thing is you want to do. Like for me, it's creating music, right? There's something that stops you from going and doing that thing.
Yeah.
And they calls it resistance, and it will put up all these barriers. And he's wrote a book after it called Turning Pro, where he's like, you just sit down and do the work.
Yeah.
That's what your job is. Your job is to not finish it. Your job is to not do the thing. Because you sit down and you do the work.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yep.
That was exactly what you did every day.
Exactly. That was it. My friend's advice was, I couldn't put a high enough value on it. It just told me what I had to do. You get up and write every day. That's what you're doing. You're writing.
Yeah.
And I find it's best really to give yourself a day off. But I'd be working. I'd think, I haven't stopped now for 10 days straight. I better stop.
Yeah. Because you were just enjoying it. You were just in the flow.
Enjoying it. You just get carried away with the creation. This is a story. The genesis of it is there. You know roughly what you're doing, but you're introducing characters that you had no idea who they were 2 seconds before you start writing.
Yeah, wow. So what's next for Larry? What's like the hopes, ambitions, things that excite you?
It's like be healthy.
Yeah.
Just like I'm just getting into writing poetry, and I'm maybe going to write a follow-up novel to this one, all wrapped up. I don't know. It just depends what comes along.
Yeah. Right. I can't leave without mentioning Gavin and Stacey, right? I mean, it's like
that's why I'm here, right?
No, I mean, but I don't think so. But we can't really leave without mentioning it.
Just the most extraordinary experience.
I mean, how long were you shooting the show for in total?
You mean over the years?
Yeah.
Well, it was like 19 years or something altogether. But then there were great big 5-year, 10-year gaps.
Yeah.
I mean, we did the first run of it.
Yeah.
And then 10 years later, we did that first of the 2 Christmas specials.
Yeah.
And then there's another 5 years goes by. So it's nothing like doing something every day.
Yeah. I mean, it must be being an actor for 50 years, right? You must get, when you first get a role, is there something like, for instance, with this role, right? Was there something about it that just made you go, this is going to be
Well, I think the thing, it's so often the case that it's the first time you sit in a room with all the other actors and read it.
Yeah.
Then you really get to know how it works.
Right.
When you are, for the first time, because you're just reading it to yourself, for the first time you actually play the character is there in that room with all those other actors, and you know what they're doing with the character that you've just been reading yourself as you read the script.
And how
all of a sudden they all come to life,
Yeah.
That's it for me. That's really it. That's the most important moment. And that's when I thought, this is really special.
Good. Absolutely. I mean, when you think about it, which one did you prefer playing? Mick Shipman or Nasty Archie Mitchell?
Well, the thing was, some of the time I was playing them both sort of back to back.
Right. Yeah. That's a bit of a swing, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's what it's like. But, usually if you're an actor, you might, over the course of the years, you might get to play those 2 characters, but not very often would you get to play them back to back.
Yeah.
So you're literally getting out of one costume and getting into another costume, instead of switching. So at the time, I enjoyed them both equally.
Yeah.
And I was lucky, to get 2 roles that, you could enjoy in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy your time on EastEnders?
Yeah. It's good fun doing those sort of things because it all turns into it's quite funny, like
Yeah.
being in one of those things. you
Yeah,
know. There's a lot of laughs,
Yeah.
a lot of laughs.
I mean, I don't think people will understand the kind of like the amount of work you do. Like, I mean, I did a month on EastEnders, and like,
Did you?
and I did like in 2014, I think.
Yeah, after I'd gone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was about 2014. I did a month. I played Stacey's boyfriend,
right.
and I remember kind of getting my scripts through the post before I went to set.
Yeah,
And about a week before, I got all these scripts through the post. I had about 8 episodes.
yeah,
And so I was like, right, okay, take this seriously as you possibly can. Read
Yeah.
all 8 episodes,
Yeah.
all of them, every scene, and I learned every fucking line,
yeah.
and I was like, right, bang, first day on set, I'm going to smash it. First week on set, I'm going to smash it. We did all those scenes in about 5 hours.
Did you?
Like, so I'd done everything that I'd learned, and I was like,
Right.
oh my God, I'm
Right.
gonna, like, I thought that was like weeks of work,
Yeah.
and that was like one afternoon.
Yeah.
I was blown away,
Yeah.
so you just like the amount of stuff you have to learn
Yeah.
and do is
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah. It's people, they don't quite understand. I think they think just because you're doing some, a piece of entertainment,
Yeah.
that it's easy,
Yeah.
and it's
Oh,
not
it was
easy.
far from easy.
It's
Yeah.
not easy, man.
Yeah.
You're out there, and there's nobody holding you up.
Yeah.
It's not, you're on. When that camera's on you, you're it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely.
You're what features in that moment.
Yeah.
And that's a big responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose also for you now, right, you've watched that cast kind of grow up.
Yeah.
Like, what's it like? How does it feel seeing them succeed? Like in all kinds of jobs, like watching James Corden, go to America and do those kind of things, and Ruth Jones, and they're kind of superstars now.
Yeah.
That must be so. From when
It's
you
lovely.
first started on that job,
It's
that must be
lovely.
amazing.
It's lovely. It was just sort of, all of a sudden you're the old dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. You
Looking
just think,
proudly.
and there's all these people who, they were all in their 20s and now they're all pushing 50.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah. I know exactly what
This
you
is
mean.
art
Yeah.
impersonating life. It's fabulous.
Is it really over? Is Gavin and Stacey really over?
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah,
it is. They
sure
don't
it
want
is.
to write anymore.
Yeah.
They have done, it's good to have an ending. Just all the time, they're just cursed with this sense that something could go wrong. You know what I mean? So you've created this thing that
I never thought about that.
everybody loves it.
Yeah.
And that the world is so fickle. Everything can turn. Just one little thing gets said.
Yeah.
And I just think that they figured, no, we've got to end this. We've got to
Yeah.
give everybody a joyous ending. And they did.
Yeah, they really did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you realise the impact of that scene? I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but I'm sure people have seen it. In the wedding.
In the wedding,
Did you when you were reading that? Did you realise that?
Not quite.
Because that's the standout moment of the show.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
whether it's, there's a lot of them, but
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure whether I was as aware of just how powerful that was going to be.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think I was, really.
Yeah.
I think as I was doing it, I kind of got it. But
Yeah.
of course, then you've got to see it.
Yeah.
And it was in that whole section, that whole run of the story where it's all leading towards what's obviously going to be the end,
Yeah.
And I think it kind of dawned on me when I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of went, here we go.
Yeah, okay.
Right, okay. I'm going to make lots of people
Especially
cry
so I
their
don't have
eyes
to
out
say
Christmas.
anything.
Yeah, exactly.
No
Dream.
lines to forget.
Dream. Yeah.
Just stand up and say nothing.
Yeah, great. Perfect.
That's
Sign
it.
me up.
Old man's acting.
Larry, it's been an absolute honour to sit
Hey.
down and chat with you. Thank you so much.
Real
You've got
pleasure.
such a great outlook.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this conversation with Larry, please follow On The Mend wherever you get your podcast. And as always, we'd love to hear from you, so please get in touch. If you or anyone you know is struggling, you're not alone. There's help out there. We've listed some very trusted support services in the show notes. Please go take a look.